The audition that could mark my daughter's debut as a singer. An incident occurred on the grand stage, which was also being broadcast live on television. Overwhelmed with extreme anxiety, my daughter found herself unable to produce any sound. The host and staff exchanged glances, wondering if they should stop the accompaniment. At that moment, jeers erupted from the audience. "Aren't you going to sing? Why did you even come here? If you're not going to sing, get off the stage. Who wants to watch you just standing there?" The insults were so cruel that the staff hurried to stop them, but the voices didn't cease. Amid the relentless barrage of criticism, my daughter took a step back. At this rate, not only was winning impossible, but she wouldn't even be considered for judging. If she's going to fail anyway, I want her to at least end this with a bit of joy. I made up my mind, stood up, and grabbed one of the chorus mics behind the stage. That moment marked the beginning of my release from past struggles, as I stepped forward into the future with my daughter. My name is Sarah. I work at a small-town grocery store, living with my high school daughter, Kayla. We don't have much money, nor anything particularly special, just a simple, peaceful life. I have no complaints. But sometimes I wonder, does Kayla long for life in the city? People at work who also have kids often say things like, "My daughter wants to move to the city." She says she hates living in the countryside, but Kayla had never said anything like that to me. She never complained about our modest life, helped with chores willingly, and worked hard at her studies. She's my pride and joy. That's why I was caught completely off guard when Kayla said something so unexpected. "Mom, there's a vocal audition in New York. Please, let me participate." One day, she showed me a flashy poster. It was so sudden that I couldn't process it. "Huh? What's this? A vocal audition?" Her previous excitement faded, and she repeated the words in a timid voice. The poster stated that the winner would be guaranteed a CD debut. Why all of a sudden? I had no idea you were interested in this kind of thing. Listen, the music world is tough. Just wanting to try isn't enough. I can't agree to this. It's fine to dream, but starting with an audition like this is too much. It's not sudden. I've already passed the second round. What? Realizing I wasn't reacting well, Kayla looked down and showed me her phone screen. Indeed, there was a notification of passing the second audition. The first round was just sending in documents and a photo. For the second round, she had submitted a recording of the assigned song, and Kayla had cleared it. "I knew you hated singing, Mom, so I applied in secret. The next, third audition is in New York, and I need a parent's consent. So if you didn't need my consent, you would have just gone to New York on your own?" "I'm sorry." My harsh tone made Kayla's voice grow smaller and smaller. Just as she said, "I dislike singing. I avoid not only music shows but also the radio." Knowing that, Kayla had applied without telling me. "I can't believe you did something like this behind my back. I can't give you permission. Just give up." "Why?" "I know you hate singing, Mom. But please, don't force that on me. It's true that I have no right to impose my preferences on my daughter, but I know how harsh the world of singing can be. I just don't want you to go through pain. As your parent, I'm saying this to protect you. Is it a parent's job to decide their child's potential without even knowing? Is restricting what I want to do really protecting me? It's just, I don't want you to get hurt. You don't stand a chance. That's why I have to try. Don't just decide that without any reason." Tears welled up as Kayla pleaded. Her emotions were all over the place, but she was determined to pursue what she wanted, even if it meant defying me. "Do you really love singing that much? I've never sung for you, not once. There were plenty of chances to listen secretly. Just because you hate it doesn't mean I have to hate it too. I want to be a singer. That's why I've been practicing in secret. At the school music room, or borrowing space at the community center." Kayla had developed her talent enough to pass the second audition, all while keeping it hidden from me. I hadn't noticed because I kept my distance. "Please, just this once. If it doesn't work out, I'll give up. I won't do anything you hate anymore. As a parent, I can't be the one to crush my child's dreams, even if that dream leads to a difficult path. All right. Just this once. But I'm coming with you, okay?" "Thank you, Mom." Kayla jumped with joy as if she had already succeeded. I sighed in resignation and looked more closely at the poster. "Huh? This place is?" Seeing the name of the sponsoring company, I froze. After a train ride, we arrived at the New York venue, where dozens of girls were already waiting in the dressing room. At a glance, there were about 50. I was honestly surprised that Kayla had made it this far. The parents and guardians were sent to a separate room, where we could watch the audition on a monitor. "My name is Kayla. Nice to meet you." After her greeting, she began singing the assigned song, without a mic or accompaniment. I was embarrassed to admit that I had never heard Kayla sing until today. Apart from her kindergarten performances or elementary school choir competitions, I had never witnessed Kayla singing seriously. Even through the monitor, my child's singing resonated clearly, producing a pure, transparent sound. It wasn't just talent, I could clearly see the results of her hard work. She must have worked so hard, practicing without me noticing. It dawned on me that my attitude had restricted Kayla's passion. How much must she have struggled? I suddenly felt like such a small person. As a parent, I want my child to follow a happy path. That's why I thought staying away from singing would keep her from trouble. But seeing Kayla confidently sing in front of such a large audience made me realize how foolish I had been. That was really good. One of the judges, who hardly ever gave feedback, told Kayla. The room instantly buzzed with excitement. Are you attending any kind of school? No, but I am learning from a teacher at my school. I see. The judges nodded to each other. It was clear from anyone's perspective that the impression was positive. Since the results wouldn't be announced immediately, Kayla gave a polite bow and returned to her seat. The moment the next girl stood in front of the judges, the waiting room erupted. My name is Rachel. Nice to meet you. Go, Rachel. Rachel. You're amazing. Other parents looked around in surprise at the group cheering, noticing that 5 or 6 people had stood up, excitedly watching the monitor. Mitchell. That surname matched that of the president of the sponsoring company. And even I, who had shut out most music information, knew the name Rachel. A prodigy singer who had been active since elementary school. Her debut song was chosen as a movie's theme song, and her remarkable vocal skills and expressive power attracted countless sponsors, making her a big name even as a high school student. Her journey as a singer began due to her family background. Rachel was the granddaughter of the president of this music agency. When she first debuted, people accused her of using connections or money to get ahead, but as soon as she sang, her beautiful voice silenced all critics. That's how talented she was. Even without participating in the audition, she would have plenty of work. However, since her grandfather was the organizer, she probably had no choice but to join. Moreover, one of the judges was her mother, Melissa, an active singer herself. I could hear murmurs of, "Is this a setup?" I wondered if Kayla knew about this. If Rachel won, people might think it was not just because of her talent, but also because she was family, which would definitely disappoint Kayla. Still, I thought it might be a good opportunity. If she could experience the raw reality of the entertainment world firsthand, it wouldn't be a wasted experience for her. Rachel's overwhelming singing voice echoed into the waiting room, and the cheers grew even louder. Once everyone had performed, the participants returned to the waiting room while waiting for the results. Among the returning girls, I spotted Kayla at the entrance, talking to none other than Rachel. My name is Kayla. I'm a big fan of yours. It's an honor to meet you. What? Kayla was a fan of Rachel? I really knew nothing about my own daughter. Kayla's cheeks were flushed with excitement, but Rachel's reaction was cold. Oh, could I please have your autograph? As Kayla held out her notebook, Rachel made a clearly displeased face. Of course not. Why would I? What are you even doing here? I'm sorry. Kayla's excitement instantly faded, and she sincerely apologized. Rachel, however, didn't stop there and continued to press her. Besides, your singing sounded like an amateur's desperate attempt. Honestly, it was hard to listen to. It might be true that Kayla's performance wasn't at Rachel's level, but that doesn't justify being so harsh. Feeling it had gone too far, I hurried over to intervene. Excuse me, I'm sorry if my daughter caused any trouble. I wrapped my arm around Kayla's shoulder, but at that moment, the room fell silent. Melissa had entered the waiting room. Rachel, great job. What's going on here? Mom. This girl just asked me for an autograph. Rachel clung to her mother, while Melissa glanced at Kayla. And then at me. Oh my. Well, isn't this unexpected? Her eyes widened briefly before a faint smile appeared on her lips. However, that smile didn't reach her eyes. It's been a while. I never thought we'd meet here. Yes. It has been a while. Is this your daughter? That girl from earlier. She scrutinized Kayla as if evaluating her. Like mother, like daughter. Lacking charm, just getting by on mere friendliness. Please don't insult my daughter. My sudden firmness seemed to catch her off guard, and she hesitated for a moment. But her expression quickly returned to its usual confident demeanor. Acting tough after being abandoned. Let's go, Rachel. With that, Melissa led Rachel out of the room. Abandoned. That word pulled dark memories to the forefront of my mind. Mom. Do you know Melissa? Kayla's uneasy voice snapped me back to reality. Yes, she's an old acquaintance. But I couldn't say any more. Sensing my discomfort, Kayla didn't press further. Only 5 people could advance to the 3rd round. Kayla's name was on the list. I couldn't completely celebrate, knowing Rachel had also made it through. The next step would be the final round. TV cameras would be present, and the agency's large stage would be used, with a live broadcast scheduled 3 days later. Whether she won or lost, it was now decided that Kayla would be on TV. TV. I can't believe it. After receiving instructions in a small meeting room, Kayla murmured dreamily. Just then, Melissa approached her. No need to be nervous. After all, Rachel is going to win. Just make sure you don't embarrass yourself on camera. That statement brought Kayla back to reality, and she looked Melissa straight in the eye. Thank you for your concern. But I won't lose. Such reckless words are laughable. Rachel's brilliant future is already guaranteed. This is just a stepping stone for her. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime event for you, but for Rachel, it's just a practice competition. You should prepare yourself for reality. Right. Rachel. With a confident smile, Melissa looked to Rachel for agreement. Do you know what people like you are called? A big fish in a small pond. Maybe you were pampered in your hometown, but compared to me, you're nothing. Know your place. Saying only what they wanted to say, Melissa and Rachel left the room together. Kayla. It was frustrating, but in this world, talent equals power. Even if they spoke harshly, they were top-level performers. I couldn't find the right words to say to Kayla, who had just faced reality. There you are. I found you. As I was searching for words, a man burst into the room. It was Henry, one of the judges. He was once a famous guitarist and is now a highly sought-after music producer. The remaining contestants and parents were stunned by his appearance, but he ignored them, heading straight toward me. Sarah, where have you been all this time? Henry, I've been worried sick. You disappeared without a trace, and no one knew where you were. As he questioned me, his gaze fell on Kayla, sitting beside me. Your name and the guardian's signature made me realize. Is this girl? Yes, she's Nathan's and my daughter. I rarely ever talk about Kayla's father. Kayla looked at us, surprised. I see. I knew it. Hey, about him. It's fine. It's all in the past. No, you need to hear this. I've finally moved on. Please, don't make me remember. I took Kayla's hand and held it tightly. I'm living my life now with her. I don't want my peaceful life with Kayla to be disrupted. Then why are you here? If you really wanted to stay out of the industry, this is the last place you should be. That's because, for Kayla. I almost said it out loud but stopped myself. I was about to blame Kayla for being here. If I truly didn't want to come, I could have stopped her, no matter what. But despite that, I came here because part of me believed that Kayla might be able to accomplish what I couldn't. Alright, I'll listen. But can we do it after the audition? I want to focus on her training right now. Mom. Training. There are only 3 days left, but I want to do everything I can to help. But I know it's probably too late to say that now. Kayla stood up, shaking her head with all her might. Not at all. I was so frustrated. Being mocked by those two and not being able to say anything back. And feeling ashamed that I once admired someone like that. If there's a way to prove them wrong, I'll do whatever it takes. Kayla. Yes. Let's work hard together. For the final round, each contestant could choose their own song. Kayla chose the song Cheyenne. The Cheyenne flower has a pale purple color, appearing fragile yet remarkably resilient, and the lyrics compare a woman to that flower. It's one of Melissa's hit songs. I don't like Melissa anymore, but I still love this song. It's what inspired me to become a singer. The lyrics and music were written by the same person. Looking at Kayla's face as she talked passionately about what she loved, I couldn't help but think of Nathan. But that songwriter only made this one song. I heard they released a few tracks during their indie days under a different name. But it's mostly just rumors. It's such a shame, though, because they wrote such a beautiful song. Yes. It really is. Once Kayla finished talking, satisfied, she put on her headphones. We rented a studio at the last minute, and she spent the limited time practicing. She listened carefully to the accompaniment, projecting her voice from her diaphragm. Watching her, I called out to Kayla. Your voice is strong, but to match this song, you might want to adjust how you sing. Adjust to the song? Like this. I let my voice blend naturally with the accompaniment, but I maintained balance, making sure not to lean on it too much, and pulled the melody when it mattered. I think this way, it harmonizes better with the song. Rather than giving a complicated explanation, I thought it would be easier to understand by singing. Kayla blinked in surprise, looking dazed. Kayla? Are you listening? Mom, you're an amazing singer. Now that she mentioned it, I'd never sung in front of Kayla before. Trying to distance myself from singing, I had even avoided singing lullabies. Am I, really? Saying you're just a good doesn't do you justice. You know Melissa and Henry too. Mom, did you used to work in the music industry? But you hate singing, right? Well, yes. There was no point in trying to cover it up now. I was about to come clean when Kayla stopped me. Let me copy you first. I want to hear your story too, but after the audition. I want to stay focused. I was genuinely surprised to see how much my daughter had grown without me noticing. Despite being raised by a mother who never taught her about music, she had come to face it with such maturity. Alright, let's do that. We resumed practice. During a break, Kayla checked her phone and suddenly widened her eyes. What's wrong? Look at this. She showed me the audition's website for the final round, which was scheduled 2 days from now. It revealed that the final round would involve the judges, the audience at the venue, and TV viewers. Viewers could vote online while watching the broadcast, but before the final audition day, a popularity ranking had been released. Since footage from the third round was available on the agency's website and social media, people who were interested had already started voting. Of course, Rachel was in first place. She had a commanding lead. Not only was she already famous, but she'd also been posting videos of her lessons and promotional clips online. We have to catch up. Feeling the pressure from Rachel's popularity, Kayla also started recording videos and uploading them to her own social media. Thanks to that effort, Rachel remained in first place, but Kayla managed to hold on to second. And just like that, the final round arrived. Inside the empty hall, the contestants and hosts were rehearsing. Even from a distance, I could see how tense Kayla was. It was only natural this was her first time standing on such a grand stage alone. After rehearsals, Kayla went to get her makeup and costume done when Rachel, already fully prepared, approached. You've never worn stage makeup or costumes before, have you? It really shows. Kayla, trying to stay calm, replied, so what? No, that's not right. I'm not calm at all. She was so nervous from the rehearsal that she could only manage minimal responses. You're the final act, you know. You better get it together. This audition is practically for me. And it would be disappointing if it didn't end on a high note. For you. Of course. I'm the only professional here. What else would it be? If it's just for you, why not hold your own concert instead? You just don't get it, do you? This stage is meant to show that I'm on a different level from amateurs like you, but I'm the final act, right? Isn't the most anticipated person supposed to go last? Are you really that stupid? You have no idea how cruel it is to sing after me, do you? Rachel crossed her arms and scoffed. Huh, think about it. When I perform, the audience's excitement will be at its peak. Even if you go on after that, they'll just compare us and think she's nothing special, or Rachel was better, ... So they made me go last on purpose. Of course. Positioning is part of the strategy. You never had a chance from the start. Just be a good little stepping stone for me. Rachel flipped her hair dramatically and left the room. I'm okay. I'm okay. Kayla kept folding her hands, repeating the words as she got her hair done. I showed her the practice video from the day before. Look, Kayla. You look so happy in this one. Remember all the practice you put in? You won't let those words get to you. Thanks, Mom. The contestants, including Kayla, took the stage. Since there were only 5 of them, we parents were allowed to watch from the wings. I could easily guess that it was Melissa's request to see Rachel up close. The other contestants, besides Rachel, are quite talented too. I realized that Rachel wasn't the only rival to watch out for. Then, when it was Rachel's turn, cheers erupted from one corner of the audience. There was no mistaking it, they were Rachel's fans. Despite the loud applause, Rachel responded with a confident smile, completely unfazed. Being used to performing in front of crowds was a weapon in itself. When she finished singing, thunderous applause and more supportive shouts followed. Amidst that atmosphere, Kayla's name was called, and she nervously stepped to the center of the stage. Why is she singing last instead of Rachel? Did she use some kind of connection? I could hear whispers like that. It wasn't that Kayla had used connections, she had been used as one. Of course, the audience wouldn't know that. That's why they could say whatever they wanted. The atmosphere Rachel created had put Kayla in a disadvantageous position. Even in that state, no one waited for Kayla. The familiar accompaniment began. Kayla stared into the void, opened her mouth. But no sound came out. Huh. The host let out a small voice of confusion. Kayla seemed to realize that she wasn't singing and pressed her hand to her throat, trying to make a sound. But the microphone picked up nothing. The intense pressure had rendered her voice unusable. I understood immediately. It wasn't intentional. The stress from the environment and the earlier exchanges had overwhelmed her. The sudden, immense stress had caused Kayla's body to freeze up. Midway through the first verse, the host and staff exchanged glances, wondering if they should stop the music. At that moment, jeers erupted from the audience. Aren't you going to sing? Why did you even come here? If you're not going to sing, get off the stage. Who wants to watch you just standing there? The insults were so harsh that the staff hurried to stop them, but the voices didn't cease. This is just an audition for a music agency. How did it turn into such a hostile situation? Oh my, how uncouth the audience is. Melissa, sitting next to me, covered her mouth as she chuckled. That's when I realized what was wrong. Those jeers, they were orchestrated by her. By them. In the past 2 days, I'd been checking Melissa's blog. She had been writing posts starting with support for Rachel but gradually painting the other contestants as enemies of Rachel. The comments on those posts included phrases like, "No one but Rachel should win," and "The other contestants are just in the way." This accumulation of negativity had naturally led to the current situation. It was all calculated by her. Amidst the never-ending shouts, Kayla took a step back. At this rate, she wouldn't just lose, she wouldn't even be considered for judging. If she's going to fail anyway, I want her to at least end it with some sense of joy. I made up my mind, stood up, and grabbed one of the chorus mics from behind the stage. Taking a deep breath, I started singing Kayla's favorite song. The sudden action made the entire hall fall silent. Even Rachel's fans had stopped moving. Kayla turned around at the sound of my voice. When our eyes met, her shocked expression softened into a smile. She tentatively reached for her mic, took a deep breath, and her powerful voice filled the hall. At that moment, I shifted from leading the melody to harmonizing. The accompaniment had already stopped, so only our 2 voices could be heard. We had never sung together before. Yet it felt like we had been a duo for years. Our breathing was perfectly in sync. It was so comfortable. I had completely forgotten how much fun singing could be. I let myself drift in the world of music, guided by Kayla's voice. When the song ended, I couldn't believe my eyes. The entire audience had risen to their feet, giving us a standing ovation. Some people were even wiping away tears. From standing frozen on stage to being joined by an unfamiliar woman for an a cappella performance. I never expected such a situation to be accepted. Mom, Kayla, without even glancing around, ran straight into my arms. I thought she should be heading towards the host, but instead, the applause grew even louder. After a brief interview from the host, it became clear to everyone that I was Kayla's mother. I was ready to be criticized for being a foolish parent for singing with my daughter. But that was just my imagination. The results of the votes from the judges, the audience, and the TV viewers. The winner is Kayla. The result was unbelievable. It seemed the online votes had played a huge role. A major debut backed entirely by the hosting company, along with corporate tie-ins. Kayla and I couldn't keep up with the rapid announcements of upcoming plans. We looked at each other, still feeling as if it were a dream, and walked down from the stage. Did I really win? You really did. It seems. Still unable to believe it, we kept confirming it with each other as we walked down the hallway towards the waiting room. I heard that staff and media personnel would soon come rushing in. As I wondered if that was really true, a door suddenly swung open, and a chair flew out, crashing into the wall. Startled, I quickly pulled Kayla back, standing frozen in shock. It was Rachel's dressing room. Looking inside, it was a complete mess. This is wrong. It's wrong. Why didn't I win? The chairs and furniture were overturned, and a vase was shattered on the floor. In the middle of it all, Rachel was grabbing and throwing makeup tools while the staff tried to restrain her. Rachel. What are you doing? From behind us, Melissa rushed into the room, grabbing Rachel's shoulders and shaking her. Calm down, Mom. What's going on? Why didn't I come in first place? The judges and audience votes were mostly for me, right? So why did I lose? Something about Rachel's words struck me as odd, but before I could think more, Rachel started thrashing around again. It must be a mistake. You told me to believe in you, Mom. You liar. Rachel. Blaming your mother for your own failure, does that sound like a professional? Before I knew it, Kayla had stepped into Rachel's room and spoken up. At Kayla's words, Rachel froze for a moment, then her face twisted with anger. What? You're just an amateur. You only won because you got lucky. Maybe so. It's true that I'm an amateur. But I still beat you. You said it yourself, right? That this audition was meant to showcase your talent. Did you really think that a song sung with that kind of arrogance would touch anyone's heart? Who needs that? My singing alone captivates people. Then why did you lose, despite your skills? I put my heart into my performance. I was grateful to have made it this far. And I sang for everyone who listened, and for my mom, who always supported me. Stop acting all high and mighty. An amateur is still an amateur. Don't you dare lecture a professional. Seeing Rachel fall silent, Melissa raised her voice in her place. She then turned her gaze to me. Honestly, like mother, like daughter. Neither of you understands your place. It's just pathetic to watch. Kayla, right? Your mother is just a pitiful woman who was abandoned by your father. Abandoned. I never expected her to bring up Kayla's father. That has nothing to do with this. Kayla, don't listen. Yes. And I was the one chosen. No, that's not true. Henry interrupted Melissa's words and entered the room. Hey, your voices are echoing down the hallway. He shut the door with an exasperated look and glared at Melissa. Oh, Henry. What do you want? The audition's over, so I came to talk to Sarah. Since you're here, you might as well listen too about Nathan. Wait. Let me tell Kayla first. About her father. Nathan was one of the band members from my student days. I was the vocalist, Nathan was the drummer, and Henry was the guitarist. People who heard me sing praised me as a once-in-a-century talent, or said I had a voice of an angel, compliments that felt overwhelming. Nathan was also talented in songwriting and composed many songs for us. What started as a hobby band gradually grew in recognition thanks to Henry's promotion and production. And we were on the verge of making a major debut. By that time, Nathan and I were dating, and Henry, who knew about our relationship, watched over us with a kind eye. As we gained more recognition, we started interacting with industry people. That's when we met Melissa, the singer. Melissa was attracted to Nathan and persistently pursued him, but he remained loyal to me. One day, I found out I was pregnant with Nathan's child. I was so happy that I wanted to tell him in person, so I called him to meet up. But he didn't show up, and from that day on, I couldn't reach him. Even Henry couldn't find him, and we worried that something might have happened. Then, shocking news reached us. Melissa, who had been performing solo, announced that she had formed a new unit. And the drummer and songwriter for the unit was Nathan. I didn't want to believe it, but Henry eventually tracked him down and confirmed that it was true. Nathan had left our band. Feeling betrayed as both a bandmate and a lover, I was devastated and couldn't leave the house for days. But time moved on, and the songs released by Melissa and Nathan's unit became massive hits. Then came even worse news. Shortly after releasing a new song, Nathan died in an accident. Henry told me with deep regret. Henry dragged me to the funeral, where Melissa, shedding tears, whispered to me, "Nathan chose me over you." Until the very end, we were together. The fact that Nathan had become Melissa's and that I would never see him again. The pain was too overwhelming. I couldn't listen to music anymore. Whenever I heard a song, memories of the happy times and the bitter reality overwhelmed me. To escape it all, I moved to the countryside where my grandparents used to live and gave birth to Kayla. I came to hate music. Music had taken everything from me, my band and Nathan. Kayla, I'm sorry for keeping this from you. I never knew any of that. All I had ever told her was that her father had died in an accident. I hadn't been able to talk about it because I didn't want to face my painful memories. But Kayla had a right to know. Sarah, some of your story isn't accurate. Henry spoke up, looking troubled. What do you mean? Nathan didn't betray you. He was trying to protect you. What are you talking about? While Melissa blatantly avoided eye contact, Henry began to explain. When I heard that Nathan was joining that unit, I confronted him. He made me promise to keep it a secret from you, then told me the truth. He was being threatened by this woman. Pointing at Melissa, Henry said, "This woman. Threatened. She told him that if he didn't form a unit with her, she would expose your relationship to the public and destroy our band. She claimed her family's power could easily make it happen. So Nathan had no choice but to go along, to protect your career." What? I never intended to tell you, but when Nathan died, and you disappeared, I regretted keeping quiet. Sarah, did you know? The song of Cheyenne he wrote for that unit. What about it? The Cheyenne Flowers meaning is, I will never forget you and thinking of someone far away. He wrote that song for you. No way. Nathan had always cared about me? He suppressed his true feelings and made himself the bad guy just to protect me? I didn't know anything. Why bring that up now? Melissa glared at Henry, seething with anger. That's old news. Why drag it out now? No, it's not just the past. You're still using your power for dirty tricks, just like today. The winner was Kayla. But almost all the votes from the judges and the audience went to Rachel. It was unnaturally one-sided. I remembered the strange feeling from earlier. Rachel had said, most of the judges and audience votes were mine. That meant, you were bribing people? As I spoke my thought aloud, Melissa glared at me fiercely. What nonsense. Do you have proof? I do. The new manager mistakenly approached me, offering to buy my vote. Henry's words made Melissa turn and yell at her manager. I told you to stay away from Henry. I'm sorry. So you admit it. Using power and money is just part of being strong. What's wrong with using what you have? You hurt people and betrayed their trust. That's unforgivable. If you hadn't interfered, Nathan might still be alive. Are you saying it's my fault he's gone? I'm not saying that. But it's a fact that you tore them apart and are still abusing your power. Shut up. I'll terminate your contract. Fine by me. I have no use for a company that's going under. Henry showed his smartphone screen, filled with online reactions to the audition. Comments like, the judge's votes seemed unnatural, and didn't this judge have a bribery scandal before, were prominent. I also have the recording of the manager's voice. I would have kept quiet, but you made it too obvious. It's just a matter of time now. No. Melissa glanced at Rachel, who had gone completely quiet. Rachel, wait. Mom, does that mean all my achievements were because of you? Why aren't you saying anything? You told me that the judges and audience votes would go to me. Did you really mean it that way? Didn't you say that because you believed in my talent? It seemed Rachel had no idea that her popularity had been inflated by money. She broke down in tears, collapsing to the floor, while Melissa stood frozen, unable to even reach out to her. Henry guided Kayla and me out of the waiting room. In the end, Melissa's bribery and past misconduct were exposed. Her company's stock value plummeted, and as one of the board members and the primary instigator of the scandal, Melissa faced severe consequences. Pursued by both the police and the media. As for Kayla, despite winning the audition, she refused the debut. If I debuted with a company like that, it would make Dad sad, she said. However, the audition had garnered significant public attention, both positive and negative, so Kayla's talent and presence became widely known. After learning the truth about Nathan's feelings, I found myself wanting to return to the world of music. There was still so much music I wanted to create and share with him. Understanding this, Henry came up with a new music project centered around Kayla. He gathered musicians from various backgrounds willing to collaborate, and I took on songwriting and composing while Henry handled production. When Kayla said, I want to sing the songs from Dad's band, we rearranged some of the indie tracks and released them. The response was overwhelming. The songs became a huge hit. I joined as a chorus singer, and it felt as if I was reclaiming the time we had lost. What Nathan left behind was his music and our precious daughter, Kayla. We will continue to polish these songs and share them with as many people as possible. I want to keep creating music as if playing it toward Nathan, who I know is watching over us. Thanks to you, I'm truly happy now.